MaksWerks here. We're finally ready to start on this beast of a bike, this M109R. And so some of the problems it's got, it was laid over at very low speed, but it punctured the side cover, and I got a new side cover. I already took the front end of it off because it needs a new headlight. Then there's just some minor cosmetic repairs that need to be done. But first, we're going to start by draining off all the oil. I won't be able to do an oil change today because I don't have the filter yet. But we got to drain the oil to replace the cover anyway. But the cool thing about this bike is it's a sled type design, so it's got two metal runners that run all the way back. So we can actually use the motorcycle lift here in the middle to jack it up the way it is. It's pretty secure. So first things first, we got to drain off all the oil that's in it. There shouldn't be a whole lot because most of it shot out of the crankcase when it broke. But whatever is left we need to drain out so that we can get the cover off. Now on this bike, all the vital stuff is here on the left hand side. So our oil fill cap is right here, and we'll remove that in a moment. But if I take you over here, you can see the damage in there where the shifter just punched a hole straight through the cover. So we're going to be replacing this entire metal cover. And if I take you guys underneath the bike, you can see what I meant by a sled design. There's two long runners on each side, and that's what it's sitting on. Underneath here, your oil filter is up here in the front. And then there's two drain bolts, 1 and 2, here also on the left-hand side. We're going to use those to drain the oil out. And I'm not sure, but my guess is they're probably a 17 millimeter. Here's another better internal view of the hole that got punched, and it just destroyed it. So now this thing is totally worthless. But we can sell the Stator and stuff like that out of this. Alright, now that we've made a huge colossal oil change mess, the next step is to pull off the shifter mount right here, and then take off this vanity cover, which is just held on by this hex bolt right here. And that'll give us full access to the cover that we need to replace. So this piece only looks like a modular unit. It's actually one piece of plastic. So it's got 3 bolts, hex. They're going to be 4 millimeter. And here's the mess after you remove that cover. So to get this bitch off, we're going to have to undo the clutch connection here and unhook the stator that's inside of here to get this off. But it shouldn't be too bad. Only 3 of the 5 millimeter bolts actually hold anything on. They're going to be at the 2, the 10, and the 6 o'clock positions. Okay, so that's all the bolts. There should be 13 bolts total on the perimeter of the casing. And as you can tell, my picture is horrible, not really representative of what it is. But this will help me keep track because, as you can see, a bunch of the bolts are all different lengths. And so you really want to make sure you put everything back the way it was supposed to be, even though they're all 8 millimeter bolts. Now at this point, you can do a couple of different things. You can either go up and unplug the stator and the crank sensor, or because I want to keep my stator and crank sensor, so I'm actually going to go and unscrew the ones that came with the cover so that I can reuse my OEM units. And then you just put it back on. The one thing to be worried about is when I took the cover off, this idler gear right here fell out. So this is your starter, your clutched idler, and then this is a transfer gear that spins the crank. And there is a piece that goes right there on the cover, right here, oops, right here, that basically just holds it in place. So just be cognizant of that when you take all this apart. So this is what it looks like when you get it off. I'm actually going to reuse my stator and crank sensor. So I'm going to leave these plugged in, and I'm going to go and get take the old ones out of the old cover. But the only thing you have to be careful of is this spacer. It sits right here, and it holds that idler pulley in place. It's not really a big deal. It just pops off when you take the cover off, so just be cognizant of that going to happen. Now you always want to put Loctite on all the bolts that go inside the crankcase. So now we got that on, we're just going to bolt everything in and torque it down, and we'll be good to go. A little gasket maker, and all holes are patched. Now we can just reassemble the bike as it was, and when I get a chance I'll replace the oil filter and fill it up with oil. Then we can take it for a test run.